Welcome to episode 15 of Millennial Real Life Budget Review series. This stuff keeps getting crazier and crazier. Today we are taking a look at a couple who has lost one income due to having a newborn baby, and they are still spending like crazy. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's do a little bit of background information on this couple. So this was submitted by the husband, who is a senior quality assurance specialist, and they are living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Every time I think about Philly, I think, well, one of my two really good friends who are from that area, and the second thing is, did I say two twice? You know what I mean. I think of the episode where Marshall from How I Met Your Mother is wanting to meet Barney and Ted in Philadelphia and going to Philly. So we're going to Philly, budget-wise. The biggest thing that they are struggling with financially is that they are a two-income family that dropped down to one while trying to maintain their spending habits. I think this is interesting that they're pointing out that they want to maintain spending habits. Their top 2 to 3 financial goals is, one, to pay off their student loans. They have $46,000 in student loan debt. The second thing is to save for home repairs. And the third thing is to save for a new house. They currently have 6 months of living expenses set aside, an emergency fund to the tune of $30,000. And growing. They also said that their wife is taking on the responsibility of caring for their newborn son. Congrats, you guys. That's so awesome. I love when we're talking about growing families. And they are no longer a two-income family. So we've lost the wife's income. Previously, they were generating a combined $7,000 per month. And now, while it's down to one, it's only coming out to $3,800. So they are trying to figure out how to track the spending inside of their budget, as well as navigating the soon-to-be student loan repayments that are coming up this fall. So they need to factor that in, and they've just got a lot going on with having a newborn baby. I totally get that. Let's go ahead and jump into their budget and see what's going on. Okay, this is looking a little different than what I normally see. Normally when people submit their budgets to me, which you can do, by the way, if you want to submit your budget anonymously, you can do so by filling out the Google form below. Usually they keep my template as is and make different adjustments by adding new rows for new expenses, but this looks entirely different. They are actually tracking this side by side by doing monthly columns and then having the expected. So not a bad thing. If that works for your brain, it works for your brain. I did see down here at the bottom, though, that there were some other categories that you took from the template and then started categorizing and customizing it for yourself. So anyway, let's go back up. I know this says January, but just go with me on this. Let's just look at it as 1 month living expenses and their income. So I do see actually their mortgage, they said that it was expected of $1,070, but really it's $1,420.51, and it's been like that for the past 3 months. So really this expected expense needs to reflect what's actually being paid out. So we're going to go ahead and change that. I don't know what this PECO amount is, but it looks like it could be a utilities bill, because I see the amounts fluctuating, and maybe you're just taking an average of what's going on. But honestly, I think your average is a little bit low here. So if I was to add this up and do a real average, then we could get a more accurate picture of what to budget here. So almost $208. So this needs to go up as well. And then we've got your HOA, your car payment, and then your car insurance, which you haven't really factored in. I do see that it's $175. You made a note here of $175. Payment of $1051 was made in February 2023. So, although I do see, $1051 for car insurance, but then I do see down here, excuse me, $1051 here. Okay, so if I know that it's $1051 for the 6 months, right? Yes, then that's correct. Let's go ahead and build in that car insurance monthly payment to yourself so that we know when the time comes, you can go ahead and pay for it, and it's not going to feel like this big expense all of a sudden in that particular month that you've been actually setting aside. Also, $175 is just really expensive for your car insurance. I know, and I'm totally aware that car insurance premiums have increased since the pandemic dramatically. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is shop your car insurance rates. Take a look at exactly what kind of car insurance you need. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my video that has gone viral. It's been up for years and it still holds true. That content still holds true today in terms of how to look at liability, comprehensive, and collision coverage. I will link to that car insurance video up here in the cards for you to check out. That way you can go in and start playing around with the numbers, make adjustments, then go to the EXPERIAN auto insurance comparison tool, which is linked below, and start comparing and shopping those interest rates. I would hate for you to be overpaying if you could get the exact same amount of coverage with somebody else for a lot cheaper. In any case, let's go ahead and factor in the $175 for your budget just so that we have it earmarked. And then I see your cell phone, you had expected $70. Looks like it was a little bit cheaper than $70. So could we cut this to $60? Because I can already tell you down here, if I know that your income, you brought in $3,900 and you overspent $1,400, and I know this is actually, let me go ahead and delete the payment here. There we go. So we're still in the whole $375, but don't worry, we're getting here. And this is actually a lot different than when I normally do these budget reviews, in which I'm going line by line, taking a look at how things can be adjusted, and then we're kind of coming out. So we haven't even talked about your debt yet or anything like that. So we're just really focused on your budget, because I know this is a new habit for you guys, because you said that you were only tracking the spending, but you weren't seeing how that was, you weren't actually budgeting for the spending. It sounds like you were just like writing down what you were spending money on, and then you're like, cool, now let's move on to the next month and see how well we spend or don't spend, which is not helpful at all, because you haven't actually identified those financial goals in order to prioritize them, work on them, accomplish them, set them, you know the drill. Let's keep going down this line. So I see cell phone should really be $60, your water bill, I feel like you're just, what you have planned out for your budget is just slightly lower than what's actually hitting, which is fine, because now we can make the adjustments of what actually needs to be forecasted for all of your bills. So I don't want you to be surprised when you allocated $70 towards your water bill, but in all reality, the last 3 months you've been spending around $83. So the $13 difference in finding the dollar difference in the other categories really starts to add up. And so the planned expected expenses are actually not an accurate reflection of what you're actually spending money on in these different instances. So I'm going to change this to $83. You're like, oh shit, Justine. These things keep going up and up. Yes, but this is more realistic. So we have YouTube TV, Verizon. What is this? Because I see cell phone of $60. Is that the device payment plan? Are you paying off a phone? And then the $45 is your actual data plan? If so, I would actually combine those, unless you like keeping it separate, whatever. But yeah, I'm curious why it feels like there's a duplicate here. Shopping of $600. You've highlighted that in green, so it sounds like this is an area that you're really focused on. $446 one month and almost $700 in the next month. Now, I know when it comes to having a newborn baby that there are a lot of unexpected expenses that take place shortly after birth. You just don't know, like breastfeeding challenges, and do you need to buy formula, and what if they don't like that bottle, and we actually need different diapers and burp cloths. I totally get it, because I went on a spending spree in Amazon for the first 2-3 months of my daughter's life. I get it. And also, is it truly more than just baby needs at this point? $600 is a lot of money out of your income right now. We're only working with one income, so every dollar counts. This is definitely an area that I would be attacking for sure. On a good note, Surprisingly, hello, groceries is $175 for you guys? How? How are you spending that little amount of money on groceries? You actually recorded $173 in the first month and $142 the next. Shocked. I'm shocked. Now, I do see food and drink. You allocated $75. I think this is like your takeout restaurant spending, maybe Starbucks, and you're actually spending over $300, $400. This is an area that needs to be addressed as well. Yikes, you are actually spending way more money on this than what you're allocating. And when you make your budget so restrictive like this and unrealistic, $75 is unrealistic, totally. You can see, because you're like more than 4 times paying for that, right? 4 times? Yeah. It's quadruple of what you actually allocated. This is the type of stuff that will burn you out and will make you hate budgeting, because you've made that plan so incredibly low for what you're actually spending. So this really needs to be different. I'm so glad your groceries are $175, but now I see maybe you guys don't spend money on groceries and you spend more on eating out, which I think some of that needs to be adjusted, and we need to go back to eating more foods from the grocery store because it's cheaper and it's going to last a longer time versus doing a lot of takeout meals. This is something that absolutely needs to be adjusted. So if I may, can I just zero this out for a second? Can I zero this out for a second? Because I want to see what else is going on here. So actually, I think I was adjusting it here since you have your income minus expenses here. So we're just gonna zero this out real quick. That actually gets us in the positive, but don't worry, we're going to add shopping and food and drink in there. Bills and utilities. Why is this at $253 expected for the month? Netflix, DMV, Prime, Geico, Auto, Home. Geico Auto Home. Okay. So I'm guessing all of that comes out to be around $253 per month if you were taking like the entire year's expenses of those utilities and then dividing it out by 12 months. It looks like that's what you're doing. So honestly, you could do it the way that you're doing it. I do it this way. So I will do subscriptions of like $90 per month and know that those subscriptions get paid out at different points of the year. And then I just set that money aside, earmark it either in a high yield savings account. Honestly, nowadays, I just keep it in my checking account because I have the discipline to know there's money in that checking account that needs to be going towards my sinking funds. So I'm okay with how you've got that planned out. For the purposes of your budget and the way that it is, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this $253 just so I can see how this is shaping up for down here. What I keep going back to is this right here, your income and your expenses and what the net difference is. All right, let's keep going. So you got automotive, car wash, K&K. So car wash and like car repairs and that sort of thing. We'll keep that as is. Travel, is this like travel for vacations? I'm just gonna go ahead and zero that out now because we gotta keep that to a minimum. Personal of $30, sure. Home, $40, what is this? Oh, the home repair fund. I think this is your home repair fund, which if that's the case, like $40 I don't think is going to cut it. Health and wellness of $30, sure. Entertainment, you allocated 20, but realistically you're spending over 30, so I would really like make that 32. Gas, you allocated 50, but really you're spending 80 to 90, so I do 85 here. Haircut 30, and another haircut 15. Okay, and then your Chase credit card subscription of $95, which I hope is not monthly. I think that is yearly, so let's just see what that is. $8. Okay, great. We have $300 left, and I completely took away your shopping and your eating out. So this is where we need to start making some hard changes to the budget, because honestly, this car payment is actually killing your budget right now, especially being on one income. And you're doing well on groceries. Your car insurance, I feel like this could be taken a look at. But the shopping, honestly, this and food and drink, you only have $300 left. So that's $150, and $150. That's it. Otherwise, you're going to be overspending every single time, and we haven't even addressed adding in your student loan payment. So I actually went over to vertex42.com to input your debts here. So we have the car loan. Thank goodness that your interest rate is 2.75%. That's really extremely low right now. Those insurance rates have just skyrocketed, but you still owe a lot of money on it, $22,000. Is this your only car? I'm curious, if this is your only car, you really have to make the decision like, yes, we're going to keep the car. We are okay with the $500 payment. You have to come up with more income at this point. I think this is the problem that we're having, and spending like you're on a one income family, because you are on one income. And then I did see over here that you had your debts labeled out here, the student loans. I know they're federal student loans. You said the interest rate was 14%. I do not think that's right. It's probably more like 4 or 5%, maybe 6% on the high end, but we'll need to factor in that monthly minimum payment. You'll need to contact your loan servicer to understand exactly what that is and what type of payment plan you're on. If you're on an income-driven repayment plan, that monthly payment is going to be a lot lower, but in the long run, you are going to be spending a ton of money on interest, and that's just not good. However, knowing your current situation, maybe that's what you'll have to start off with until you can get that income level up. And I'm curious, do you have plans for your wife? Like, do you have plans to go back to work? Because at this point, the way that we're spending money, I just do not think that your current situation, being on almost $4,000 a month, is sustaining you. In fact, let me look at this, because I want to make sure that your monthly mortgage payment is not really on the high end. 35%. Philly, yeah, higher cost of living, not as high as things like LA or the Bay Area, but 35%, that is on the highest end of a mortgage payment. So we have to think about that and consider that. So for you guys, honestly, I know you said you have $30,000 in emergency fund, which is fantastic. Please keep that money, because we can't afford to do anything else. We need to really focus on figuring out, is a one income family sustainable for us? Can we actually make this work? Now, I know eventually your son might be going to school. Have you considered daycare? If you are considering being a stay-at-home mom, consider the cost. And I've actually done a whole video on the pros and cons between hiring a nanny versus daycare versus being stay-at-home. If you want to check that out, it's up here in the cards. And then you can kind of consider and weigh the pros and cons of that. Because if you used to be a $7,000 income family, see what that, I feel like this would, wow, okay. So I don't even want to concentrate on your debts, because I just want to concentrate on your budget with this. If you went back to work and we had $3,000 left over, we could afford to hire some help for your son, maybe as he gets older. So if we were to do like a, daycare expense, maybe even at-home care, or like even a nanny, look at that. See how much that's going to cost you. Is it, $1,500? Even if it was $1,500, we would have enough money left over for you to increase your shopping budget. Let's keep it realistic here of like $300. Let's do, your food and drink could still be the same. Maybe it's $200. You'd have so much more money left over to actually put towards your debt and really start building out and paying down the car loan and the student loans. Honestly, I just don't see how much longer you guys can sustain yourself on the one income unless you do something to increase it, unless there is a way that you can severely cut costs. But I'm telling you, if you keep it the way that it is, 150, you literally have no money left over for that student loan payment that is coming. It is inevitable. That is coming this fall. You have no money left over for that. And you are on a restricted eating out and grocery budget, and knowing that your previous spending habits have been closer to like $500, $700, I just don't see how you could maintain 150 on that and 150 on food and drink. So really take a hard look. I think the plan of action for you and my recommendation is to have a sit down Tuesday talk. no phone, no TV, just literally after baby goes down for bed, you guys have a hard conversation about what it would look like to introduce a second income again, and what it would look like to put your son in a really loving daycare or with a really loving nanny for the time being. And maybe you get creative and flexible with that. Maybe you find a remote position where, you know, you're working from home so that you can be close to your son. If that's important to you, I know how difficult it is to leave your young baby with somebody brand new. I had major anxieties over this and why I ended up choosing a full-time nanny. In fact, I had gone through 2 nannies for sure, and when I found the second one, I knew instantaneously that this woman was meant to be in our family and in our lives, and I felt so good knowing that she was right there with Quinn in my home. I could pop in when I wanted to see her. It was so great. Just some options for you to think about. I think that's my recommendation here, because I just don't see how you guys can make this work. If you are interested in getting your budget reviewed anonymously right here on the channel, be sure to fill out the Google form below. Give me as much detail as possible. The more details that you provide, the better recommendations that I can give you. Also, if you want to check out my budget toolkit spreadsheet, this is for free. The exact same spreadsheet that I've been using since 2012 to track my income and expenses, and the #1 tool that helped me pay off $35,000 in student loan debt in 2.5 years on a $37,000 income. Don't forget to like this video, and if you're interested in joining the family, come on and hit that red subscribe button. We are committed to growing the community to over 100,000 subscribers strong. Am I almost there? Do we know? I hope so. Go ahead and click subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.